Welcome to the program, friend. You're watching a 7-part series. This is installment 3, and it has to do with our right to self-defense, the history of owning firearms, why we own firearms. And I've told you before, I want to tell you again, some of this material is probably not appropriate for really small children. So I leave it to your discernment. And obviously, you know the ages of your children and their intellectual and emotional capacities. The question, of course, is why? Why does Joe Biden want to get our firearms? I want to say for the record, any healthy person, any spiritual person, would seldom embrace violence and the use of force as a happy thing, a joyful thing. But I think most of us would agree that there is a time when the use of force, when the use of self-defense is right. It's just. It's what is needed. And I know that there are a lot of people grieving that a loved one who was the victim of a crime did not have the ability to defend themselves. And I know that there are a lot of people rejoicing because someone that they loved had the capacity to defend themselves. And oh, by the way, historically, all of us in America are still basically free because of the Second Amendment. Hope you enjoy the series. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance, friend. I'm Randall Terry. Joe Biden, the class clown. Well, he might be the insidious bearer of evil tidings. You decide. This show is really critical today. We're going to talk about things that a lot of talk show hosts simply are afraid to discuss, or they're just not, dare I say it, I don't mean to be unkind, intelligent enough. They didn't do well in art class. They couldn't even connect the dots. So let's start with the clip from Joe Biden and dissect what this man is actually saying.
And so the kinds of things that there's an emerging set of recommendations, not coming from me, but coming from the groups we've met with. And I'm going to focus on the ones that relate primarily to gun ownership and the type of weapons that can be owned. And one is there is a surprising, so far, a surprising recurrence of suggestions that we have universal background checks. Not just close the gun show loophole, but total universal background checks, including private sales.
You know, I want to call him the court jester, but I think I have to call him the court tyrant. Friends, please hear me. Listen, did you hear that clip? There are 2 things that you needed to catch from that. Number 1, we're going to discuss what types of guns can be owned. Stop. He's talking about making it a criminal act to buy certain guns, and ultimately it would be to own certain guns. And if you can't own it, that means they have to confiscate it. Hear what he's saying, see where it's going. And then he talked about universal background checks. What that means is you can't go into a gun show anymore and buy a gun from a buddy of yours who's got a table there. You can't even go to your buddy's house without doing a background check on your friend, your neighbor, your relative. Let's get specific. This is a semi-automatic pistol. They're talking about making it illegal to sell these and, by extension, at some point, making it illegal to own them. This is a semi-automatic pistol. This is a .22. It's a target pistol. It's a phenomenal weapon. Now, properly, this is called a revolver, but it's also a semi-automatic in that you pull the trigger and it keeps firing. You don't have to load each round. Why would they want to make those guns illegal to sell? Why? They're talking about putting the federal government funding, listen to me, putting a policeman in every school in America. Now, I don't know if you can grasp the danger of that, but listen to me. Why not do what the Israelis do? They just train their teachers how to use a gun, how to protect the students. I mean, if there's a kid or a lunatic in a classroom who starts shooting and the policeman is standing at the front door, half the kids in the room would be dead before he even got to the room. It's window dressing. The person to be able to protect the children in the room is the adult in the room. All right? Next, they're setting us up for a police state. And some of you can grasp this, and some of you can't. But the simple fact is that when a nation is strangled to death, when its liberties are lost, it usually doesn't happen overnight. It happens on the installment plan. So, are they expecting you and me to do a background check on our brother, our dad, our neighbor, when we sell him a firearm? Are they going to make it a crime if you or I buy or sell a weapon without doing our neighborly background check? Isn't this just one more step, not only of government intrusion, but hear me, of turning us into snitches on each other? It's none of the government's darn business if I sell a gun to my dad or to my brother or to a member of my staff, or if I buy one from them. It's none of their business. It's my right under the Second Amendment. It's my God-given right. When we come back from this break, I want to talk more about schools. I want to talk about homeschooling. And yes, I want to talk about Germany. Yeah, the bad Germany, Nazi Germany. Don't go away.